A couple videos ago, we talked about reverse 1.5 tuck, and I got a couple people reaching out about the animation that's in the middle of it. It goes by pretty quick, and they wanted a more in-depth view of what that animation was. So I'm making this shorter video to explain the reverse takeoff all the way through the kick out. The first thing I want to point out is that in one of the first frames, when the stick figure is straightened out and this pop-up comes up and it says rotate hips, I want you to notice how straight the body is, of course. Now, in real life, everybody isn't a stick figure, obviously. So you're going to have some misalignments somewhere. But pay attention to how the arms are pointing straight up, because if you think about it, the judges want to see a really well executed dive, but that also means they want to see a beautiful dive. So by keeping the arms straight and pointing straight up, you have a beautiful straight line and you won't disrupt the continuity of your body if your arm is straight up, like it is in this frame. Now I have the pop-up rotate hips as the stick figure starts to fall back towards the board, because this is your cue to tighten your core and really make sure that you have a more hollow hip position as you're making contact with the board again. If your hips are open, it tends to allow for the falling forward, which takes you off balance and can result in a lot of different errors. And after that, the next point here is that they're landing with the board. They're not stomping on the board. So as the board is coming down, they are also coming down and landing on it. The rotated hips are still there because this whole time you're really trying to keep your core strong, because as the board starts to push you up in the future, if you have a weak core, it will usually make you break, quote unquote, because it's such a strong force. But before we get to that, the arm swing is the next important thing, and it's all about relaxation. I've talked about it in different videos, but from this position, as you start to swing from 12 o'clock down into 6 o'clock, that is a super important time when your core is still locked in place, keeping the hips hollow and stable, but you are engaging your shoulders and your arms as you swing down to the bottom. And then once you hit that bottom position, you relax the shoulders, allowing the momentum that you've just produced to carry your arms back up to the top even faster, so that your arms can be up by your ears before the board is ready to push you away. A lot of times people will get their arms up too late because they're using their shoulders too much to muscle through it, which takes their body out of alignment. It expends extra energy that you don't need to, and it makes it harder to do the dive. So the more you can allow yourself to relax the shoulders once you hit that bottom arm position, the 6 o'clock position like it is right here, and let them relax, come all the way back up to the top, that will take us to the next point, which is that C position that you might hear coaches talk about. Sometimes coaches talk about the C position or the banana position. Everybody's got a different way of saying it, but most commonly it's called the C position. And that's this fully extended look right here, where the hips are actually slightly out in front of the rest of the body, and you're using your center of gravity, which is your hip area, to pull yourself up and away from the board safely, while also keeping the core engaged. That hasn't stopped yet, and the arms are in the right position at the top to actually get the most throw into the reverse. And quickly on that note, in that reverse 1.5 video, we talked about how the knees can fall forward, and that's in this as well. That's when you leave too early or you're falling forward and the knees kind of come out too quick and you break at the knees, but it doesn't allow for all the energy to come up from the board into your center of gravity and let your hips take all that momentum up into the air. So you're allowing your hips to lead the way without breaking at the knees and without pulling with the shoulders too much. From there, you can lift the knees up in front. The feet don't come up behind the butt too much. They really are following with the knees up in front of the body as you circle your arms around or wait for the legs to come up. Either one will work just fine. And that's basically everything on the takeoff right there. From there, the animation kind of just shows what spotting would look like as you're up in the air and coming around for the first flip. As the stick figure is coming around for the first flip, it will tilt its head up, which you can't really tell. I'm not a good animator, so don't judge me on the animation. But what you'll end up doing is as you're upside down, you'll peek your eyes up over your eyebrows, searching for the water below you, which is what this dotted line is, and you're tracking. So you found the water that you're going to enter at, you're following it, and then as you come around and you're almost vertical in your position, the eyes start to move up to where you want to place your kick. Now, this will change depending on your height off the board and your flip speed, because every takeoff is going to be a little bit different. So you have to adjust on the kick out. You should be able to feel that you had a good takeoff or a bad takeoff depending on, oh man, my knees went forward a little bit too much. That means it's probably gonna be a little bit slower. Or, ooh, wow, those arms got up really fast and I really felt like I got a really great push from the board. It's probably gonna be a little bit quicker. Or, man, I had a really good hollow takeoff and my legs came up quick. So that means my connection was really fast. It's probably a little faster right now. All those things have to happen in a split second. And that's how you're gonna decide, oh, do I need to kick up a little bit higher or do I need to place it right where I normally do or anything like that. And that's what's happening here. So the stick figure tracks the water where they think they're going to land, and then as they come around, they look up across the pool as they kick out and they find that spot where they're going to place their feet. That's what this dotted line across the pool is. They're placing their feet on that spot. They're pointing them right there, and they're still looking at it, and that's basically where this is going to end. From here, you're still holding that hollow position, but you start to look back for the water and move the arms through for the entry. For the animation that is the wrong one with the big no here, it's important to notice that if you don't keep strengthening your core, the force of the board is going to mess you up. It's going to make you fall forward. The board is still going to go up, but you're not ready for it and you're off balance. And that's what happens with this stick figure here. The knees are kind of falling forward because the weight distribution is off. They're leaning forward too much because the chest is dropping, and they can't get their arms up in time because they may have started too late or for whatever reason. These are just the different issues that can happen. Another issue that you can see in this is that the arms are bent coming up. They're not super straight and relaxed. They're trying to work it too hard to get their arms up to the top, which doesn't even happen because they leave the board early because they're falling forward and the knees are breaking. They don't get that hip push out like the first one we watched. So there's a lot of issues that kind of went wrong here. But that's the gist of all this. I wanted to make this video quick for whoever was interested in seeing it a little bit slower. I hope that was helpful. And as always, if you are a fan of the channel and want to support, you can go down to the description where you can send videos to me and ask for tips. Or if you just want to send a donation, you can totally do that. The minimum is $1, so it's affordable for everybody. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.